Hey everybody, welcome to another action figure unboxing and review, Marvel Legends Edition. And today we're going to be taking a look at Hank Pym, Giant Man, and Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp. Hank Pym and Van Dyne are two members of the original Avengers team from back in the 1960s. The very first team that also included Thor, Iron Man, and the Incredible Hulk. And if you weren't aware of the comics, because, well, I mean, obviously you'd be aware of the comics, but if you hadn't ever opened the comic and you were only used to the MCU versions, that would be news to you, as well as the fact that Hank Pym, not Bruce Banner and Tony Stark, is the one who created Ultron. Now, they were married at one point, but Hank actually ended up being a wife beater, and they divorced eventually. And beyond that, I'm kind of hazy on the history, so I won't comment anymore because I'm not sure if either of them remarried or what's currently happening with them regarding their relationship or lack thereof. I only know that they were once married. Janet, I'm pretty sure, has always been the Wasp. Like, whenever she was a superhero, she was the Wasp. I don't think she ever took a different name. I could be wrong about that, but from as far as I'm aware, I think that's the truth. That's the case. Hank, on the other hand, has been, well, he started out as Ant-Man, and he also was Giant Man, and then he went by Goliath at one point instead of Giant Man. Basically the same powers and everything, but he just changed the name. He also has gone by Yellow Jacket, which, if you saw the first Ant-Man movie, you will know is the main antagonist of that film. But Hank Pym was actually the first Yellow Jacket. It was one of his many different aliases that he went under. As far as in the Marvel Universe is concerned, Hank is one of the most intelligent guys in the MCU, or not the MCU, but in the comics. He's up there with Reed Richards and Doctor Doom and Tony Stark as far as intelligence goes. His main field of expertise tends to be like quantum biology or something like that. Although he is, since he invented Ultron, he is also adept at robotics and engineering and stuff like that. So he's a polymath essentially. Although his grasp of robotics is still not as quite as good as Victor Von Doom's, he's probably the best in the entire comic universe, as on Earth anyway. As far as humans go, there may be people that are better than him that are aliens, but on Earth, Von Doom is probably the top robotics guy. If he had created Ultron, Ultron wouldn't have gotten out of control, basically. So yeah, let's take a look at the box. This is from the 60th anniversary of the Avengers, which was in 1964. So yeah, that was Avengers number 1. Actually, Avengers number 1 came out in 63. I'm pretty sure. So this was also one of last year's sets, but I think they were a little bit behind, so some of the sets came out later than they should have. Like, I only just got this a couple months ago. But here you have Hank Pym, Janet Van Dyne, legalese. That's on the bottom. There's Giant Man and the Wasp artwork on both sides of the box. Avengers, 60 years of Earth's mightiest. And then on the back, you have a shot of the the classic Avengers lineup from the 60s when, see, Hulk left after the 3rd issue, and then Captain America joined in the 4th issue. They found him and thawed him out of ice, and he joined the team. And Hulk left because, well, you know, he's Hulk. Before he was able to keep Banner's intelligence, he was just a brute that didn't know any better and took offense to the stupidest things. You got more legalese on the bottom here, and then you have a blurb you can read if you want. Now this one, unlike the Angel box, I actually opened from the side like I was supposed to, instead of from the bottom. So let's get them out of there. Yeah. Alright, these guys have quite a bit of stuff, so bear with me as I get all this stuff out of here. Now this 2-pack was a direct result of the Giant Man HasLab. I think a lot of people were really wanting a Wasp to be part of that set, but they put her in this set, which is better because I didn't back the Giant Man HasLab. I didn't really want Giant Man. I prefer Hank Pym as Ant-Man. So yeah, so I didn't buy the HasLab basically. Now, his Ant-Man mask obviously is different than his Giant Man mask, but if you don't care too much about that, you can use the Hank Pym in this set as your default Ant-Man as well, instead of Giant Man. Like, you don't have to put him on you don't have to put him with the head, the Giant Man head. You can just leave him like this. I'm just gonna leave him here. Bear with me for a second, because one of Janet's hands landed on the floor, so I gotta find it. And luckily it didn't get very far. All right. I'll take a look at Hank first, because Janet's really the star of this set. So, as you can see, this is a cloth goods cloak or lab coat, similar to the one that came with Beast and the one that came with Reed Richards, one of his versions of those two characters. I don't think it's exactly the same. Beast is quite a big figure. I don't think this coat would fit on him. So this is probably a different size. This might be the same design that came with Reed, though. Can't really say for certain because I don't have that Reed figure. No pockets, unfortunately. It would have been nice if they had given us pockets, because with a lab coat without pockets. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take this off of him so that we can take a look at the outfit underneath. After all, this is just a plain white lab coat. Not really much else to say about it. Let me pop the hand off here to make it easier to get it off. Alright. So this outfit is quite similar to his Ant-Man outfit as well. I don't think he changed his costume too much. The main difference between his Ant-Man and Giant Man disguises are well, costume-wise anyway, the headgear. Obviously, Giant Man goes up and Ant-Man goes down size-wise. But the basic costume is relatively the same. Same basic colors and whatnot. Red, black, and blue. You can see he's got the... I'm not sure which body this is. It is pinless, so that's good. But I think this is a little bit smaller than the Vulcan. So I don't think this is the Vulcan body. This must be the medium-sized new pinless buck they came up with. I'm not sure which figure was the first one to use that one. So let me know down below if you know. He's got a good looking head sculpt there. Definitely looks like Hank. Got the blonde hair with a little like cowlick on the front. I've seen people use this head for other figures. Like I even seen someone put this head on the G.I. Joe Classified Falcon because that head sculpt is atrocious. So even though Falcon doesn't really have blonde hair, it still looks better than the one that came with him. He's got the V black design there, front and back. He's got the silver belt, which floats around. It's a overlay. And of course, he's got those blue, like, hot pants over top of the red spandex, and then the blue boots at the bottom, and the blue gloves. Looking over articulation, he's got the ball and hinge, which is just what you want in a figure because it gives you way more articulation options. He can look down that far. He can look up all the way. Pretty good for a character that's not even a flying character. He can do the exorcist. He's got some tilt. He can T-pose his arm just under 90. More like 85 or 80 or something. And they can go all the way around. He does have a bicep cut. And he does have butterfly joints, which you don't often get with Marvel Legends, so that's kind of nice. And I like the way these work even better than the Classified. So props to the Marvel Legends team. They come up with some good designs for articulation for their characters. He's got double jointed pinless elbows. Let's see, his wrist hinge is vertical on the right hand and horizontal on the left. He does have an ab crunch. He can crunch forward about that far and back about that far. And he just has a swivel at the waist, no ball joint, so no tilt, unfortunately. No drop down hips, but he can split out about that far, not quite Van Damme. He can kick out about that high and back about that far. He does have a thigh cut, double jointed pinless knees, boot cut, foot goes ballerina back, goes forward that far, rocker peg holes on the bottom. Accessories wise, he comes with the aforementioned Giant Man helmet, or mask, or whatever you want to call it. That pops on easily enough. It does kind of have antenna similar to Ant-Man, but the overall look of the mask is decidedly different. Even in his Giant Man guise, he could still communicate and summon ants and whatnot. And that's what the antenna were for. That's what he used to communicate with the ants. Because otherwise, Giant Man has no need of those, really. And the Giant Man figure that they did for the HasLab looks pretty much the same as this. So I can foresee a lot of people just having this like in front and the grown-up Giant Man HasLab behind him, making it look like, you know, he's growing. Now, if they have the original, I think with a Build-A-Figure Giant Man from back in the day, they can put that between this one and the HasLab to make it look even more like a growth spurt deal. So yeah, he's got that helmet, that mask head, which I probably won't use. I like the Hank Pym head on this one. He also has an extra set of hands out of the box. He comes with a fist in his left hand and a gripping hand with a trigger finger for some reason on his right hand. But he also has a pair of grasping hands like that. And his gripping hand here can be used to hold one of his other two accessories. He does come with these flasks similar to what came with the Beast. And I think Reed Richards also came with something like this. So don't quote me on that because, like I said before, I don't have that figure. But I do have the Beast figure, and he did come with something like this. I don't know if it's the exact same sculpt, the ones that Beast came with, but it's similar enough. The hands are pliable enough that you can open them up quite easily. And you can get that in there like that. And you can have him holding the other one in the other hand here. Yeah, that doesn't really work very well. This hand is open a bit too far. You can't quite grasp that, so it's not designed for the flask, unfortunately. He does come with a miniature Quinjet. And this is one of the old school looking Quinjets, I believe. I don't think they still use this style. I think this is from like the first appearance of the Quinjet. They've changed it quite a bit since then. And he can hold that. And of course, if you know Hank Pym and his Pym particles technology, this is actual working Quinjet. He just shrank it. And I dropped it. So that's cool. You know, when people saw this, they thought the HasLab was going to be a Quinjet before they really revealed the Giant Man HasLab. And lastly, he comes with this like data pad type of thing. I don't know what exactly this is supposed to be. It doesn't look like it has any use at all. Maybe it's like a chart or something. And he can put that in his hand. I really wish they had given us a pair of gripping hands and a pair of fists instead of these splayed out grasping hands, because they don't really serve much purpose. They don't help in holding anything. They just kind of do nothing. But he can hold both the vials and the clipboard and in his right hand. And there you have Hank Pym. All right, Janet Van Dyne. Janet has a lovely head sculpt with a little microphone here. This is basically her costume from the early days. I don't know if this is exactly the same costume she had in the beginning in the first Avengers comics, but it's close enough. If it isn't, this may be from like slightly later than the original appearance, but I think this is close enough to the original, if not the original. And she's got these two antennae on the top, and her head kind of comes to a little point there at the top. And then, of course, you see she's got that headset on there, which helps her to communicate with both Hank and the rest of the Avengers. And she's got a belt with a couple of vials on it. Black pants with the red boots, and of course the red tunic over the black bodysuit. And she got that W on the top of her chest there, and these red gloves. Now you gotta be careful when you're removing Wasp's head, because you don't want to damage the microphone or the antenna up on the top here. Oh yeah, and these can move. Just a little bit, not a lot. Okay, she does not have a hinge. She only has a ball joint, which is strange because she can fly, unlike Ant-Man. Or Giant Man, whatever you want to call him. He can only fly when he's riding an ant. a flying ant. So they gave him a hinge, but not her. But it doesn't hinder her too much. She can look that far down, and she can look up about that far. Although she can't quite see where she's going if she's flying like that. So she really should have had a hinge. She can do the Exorcist. She's got tilt. Her arm goes all the way around. This is harder kind of plastic. You can see it bending there, but it doesn't really get out of the way. But you can just go around it. Arm got stuck. She doesn't have a butterfly like Hank, but she can go over 90, unlike him. On the T pose, she does have a bicep cut, double jointed pinless elbows, horizontal wrist peg on both hands, no waist articulation, or no torso articulation is what I meant. Most female figures usually have a diaphragm cut, but she doesn't have that, nor does she have the ab crunch. So she can only turn at the waist, and she's got some tilt there as well. It's just a ball peg rather than a hinge like Hank. So she can only like get forward about that far. She can arch back a little bit more, twist again like she did last summer, and she does have the tilt. She can split out about that far. That's not Van Damme worthy. The skirt piece is more flexible than the shoulder pieces, but it's still rigid enough that it's not going to give way too much. She kick out about that far. She kick back about that far. Upper thigh cut. Double jointed pinless knees. No boot cut. Her foot can go all the way back like a ballerina and go forward that far. She got rocker and peg holes on the bottom. Alright, like Hank, she has an alternate head sculpt. With, again, another beautiful face sculpt. They did a good job with the Janet Van Dyne heads. They both look very good. And her nice short bob kind of hair cut with a little bit of curl on the bottom. Befitting a woman who is a fashion designer. At least she was in the early days. I don't know if she still is now. Marvel has a habit of taking their older female figures and giving them more or different jobs now than they had back in the day. Like, for instance, Susan Storm was an actress when she was originally in the original Fantastic Four. She wasn't a scientist. She had no aspirations of being a scientist. She was an actress and a model. But they changed that and made her a scientist now. And then Mary Jane was also an actress and a model. But then they turned her into like a businesswoman. I think at one point she was running Stark Enterprises, if I remember correctly. So it's just like, I don't know. On one hand, yeah, not every single female character in the Marvel Universe should be an actress and a model. But on the other hand, why can't at least one of them stay actress and model? Like Mary Jane, for instance, definitely should have stayed actress and model. There's no need to change her profession. She's not even a superhero. She's just a normal person. At least the 616 is. Let's see. Wasp also comes with fists out of the box. And she has a couple of these. These are like the standard hands that they give to the female figures. They pretty much all have these kind of splayed out gesturing hands. Whether it makes sense for them or not. I would have preferred if they had given Wasp like a two-finger hand to simulate her Wasp sting attack. And they could have given her that for both of them. I mean, you could do that with these, but usually when she's doing her Wasp thing, she's not like, ugh. She's just kind of shooting him like that, like a kid with a finger gun back in the day. And of course, Wasp has wings. Let me see here. I'm not sure if this part's supposed to be on the inside or the outside. I need to consult the box. That doesn't help. There's no pictures. There aren't any pictures of the figures on the box. I'm gonna have to look it up. I definitely want to put them in the right way. So just bear with me as I take a look online real quick. I got my computer right here next to me. I didn't think that was going to be an issue. Okay, here's a picture here. Alright, it looks like the bigger wings are on the inside. And the picture that I can see. Which means I would go in here. Alright, these pegs are a little bit smaller than the ones that came. Actually, they're quite a bit smaller than the ones that came with Angel. So you're definitely going to want to be careful when you're pegging these in. You don't want to break that hinge. Wait, which one did I say was on the inside? Oh yeah, the big ones. So it turns around like that. Heck. There we go. Alright. Can't be Wasp without wings. And like Angel, her wings are very nicely done. You can spread them out in different ways, like so. You can have everybody like this, and of course, like Angel, they can hinge in and out. So she can, well, you don't want her to sit like this. That's too back heavy. But they can do that. They can also turn around at the joint, at the connection to the back there. So the hinge in and out, move up and down like that, and then the individual wings can also move in and out like that. And you can also flap them. You can't move them independently, unfortunately, on the hinge. They both move at the same time, so you can't like fold the big wing back and keep the smaller wing forward. You have to, if you want to move them back, you got to move them both at the same time. But still, the wing technology has definitely improved since back in the day. So, like I said during Angel's review, I'm really hoping they do a upgraded Archangel, because I would love to see his metallic wings in that same style. I think that would look great. So there's the Ant-Man and Wasp 60th anniversary set. Definitely a set you're going to want to pick up if you've got the... I keep calling him Ant-Man. Like I said before, he's always Ant-Man to me, not Giant Man. But this is a Giant Man figure rather than the Ant-Man figure. So this is definitely a set you want to get if you back the HasLab, because you're going to want a Wasp in any case. One thing I will say that I'm surprised they didn't include with this set is a little miniature Wasp, at least a miniature Wasp. A miniature Ant-Man would have been cool as well, but I can see why they didn't put that with this set, because this is Giant Man, not Ant-Man. But a little tiny Wasp figure would have been nice. I know they released a tiny Wasp figure with an Ant-Man in a previous release, but I'm pretty sure that Wasp had a different costume. So we don't have a miniature version of this Wasp costume. So that would have been a nice inclusion in this set, a little miniature red and black Janet Van Dyne, with this mask instead of the one that she was wearing. Actually, I think she was just bareheaded in the other miniature Wasp one. This is a good set. I didn't have either of these figures. I wasn't actually planning on getting an Ant-Man at all. But when I saw the Wasp figure, I was like, I've got to have that because she looks really good, as you can see. So I ended up with the Hank Pym figure anyway. And that's enough for me. I think I don't need another Hank Pym. I don't need an Ant-Man version. I don't need a Yellow Jacket version. And I didn't back the HasLab because I don't really care about the Giant Man. But I have a Hank Pym size, regular size figure. So whatever costume he's in doesn't matter to me as long as he's normal sized. That's fine. That's what I wanted. I wanted a normal sized Hank Pym. And the fact that he comes with the lab coat is a nice bonus, I think, because that's how I'm going to display him. I'm going to display him as lab Hank Pym rather than superhero out in the field Hank Pym. So comment down below, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, again, I forgot to mention this on my Angel review, but I did mention it on my Big Boa review. Don't forget to go to the community tab and vote on which figures you want me to see me review next week. So I will see you next time.